Okay, guys, in all my years of going to shows, which now spans over 20 plus years, what is the biggest AB demo I've ever heard? Stay tuned. Okay, guys, welcome back to the channel. Had a great time in Toronto, back in Houston, but I'm back out of town starting next week, Fredericksburg for Halloween. Stay tuned for lots of stuff, including my Halloween costume. Maybe I'll put up a teaser of it. Cowboy Medusa was my inspiration this year, so stay tuned for that. Also, when I was in Toronto, it's not just all the coverage I uploaded. I got tons more, including the video today. I've got a phenomenal 30-minute video that's a must-watch from one of my favorite rooms. Stay tuned for that, plus my wrap-up show, plus Pete the Greek's wrap-up. And then on top of all of that, I don't know when I'm going to get all this out, Angela Gilbert-Young, spent the whole day with him and George at Untracked Audio. And let me tell you, Angela Gilbert-Young is doing some very advanced stuff. A lot of people just think he's, an outsider. No, he's got pedigree that goes back. Everybody should know who he is. That's been in the industry for a while. He's getting more well-known because he's on social media now, but yeah, anybody that is anybody should know who he is. And he's been around for decades, and what he's doing is very advanced. You're going to want to watch how I dive in deep. It's more than just the funny designs and silicone. Everything is done for a reason with him, and some of the things he's doing at even at much higher price points, nobody else is doing. So stay tuned for that. Also, Mako, Macaria, Open Baffle, Granite, and then the Baltic Birch. I've got footage that nobody else has seen at their studio, listening at their studio to the speakers, and also some colors and inside of the crossover box. You're going to want to stay tuned for that. Phenomenal company, and that's a very innovative Open Baffle. So lots to get to you, but what I wanted to do, start trying to catch up, is get out to you one video where I already released this. My first visit was at IsoAcoustics in Toronto, the room, and I was just blown away by the Delta when they did the AB demo. And they did a very clever setup where they had two pairs of the same speaker with their IsoAcoustic footers, which I've owned in the past, and then the normal stock footers on these PS audio speakers. And instead of putting one pair on the inside and one pair on the outside, where obviously there's going to be a Delta just from the location, they staggered it where one pair with the footers was on the inside on this side, but it was on the outside on the other side, and then vice versa, so that the center image wouldn't shift that much. Now, whatever is on the sides of the speakers could impact a Delta, but they tried to control as much as possible to make it a pure AB, and then they built a switch that would switch on the fly the speakers that were active, and you could, there was a light that could tell you when it's on versus off, okay? So it was very impressive what they went through to do it. And what was even more impressive, almost too impressive, to be honest with you, is when they did it, I was like, holy cow, I've owned these footers. I didn't hear that big a Delta, when I used the footers. Obviously, footers will depend on what speakers you're using it on, what floor. There's so many variables. It could work better or worse for different speakers. But decoupling, like IsoAcoustic does, is a superior approach than coupling and cones. I mean, the bad information out there about cones draining vibrations, it's comical at this point that people have not understood how decoupling is far superior. But in any case, IsoAcoustic goes to that next level and has a lot of pedigree, even doing for OEM work for manufacturers as big as Sonus Faber now to help isolate it. So when I heard the Delta, I was like, wow, this is one of the best AB demos I heard. There's no question anybody blind should be able to hear it. But as I left and people asking me, well, what did you hear? More details of what exactly I heard. The reality is it sounded identical to me as to when a speaker is in phase versus out of phase. And ironically, that was another topic of a video. If you didn't watch the one from the Audio Vector Trapeze room, we got a full explanation of the PS Audio speakers that were out of phase in Montreal. Kudos to the guy at Kennedy Audio for explaining that. Don't want to get off on that tangent, but I'm very sensitive. I know when speakers are in phase versus out of phase. And that's what it sounded like. That's how big the delta was. And anybody that has heard speakers in phase versus out of phase, you know that when it's in phase, you could have the center image. And then when it's out of phase, at a minimum, the music is going to spread out and be more attached to the speakers and all kinds of other things you're going to notice. And it's most noticeable if you play pink noise. Pink noise is all frequencies at the same time, kind of on both speakers correlated, and it should be a ball in the center. And then when it's out of phase, all of a sudden that ball splits up and it attaches to the speakers or even sounds a little bit even around you. And so when I went back, I decided to go back because I know that some people wanted to know what it sounded like, and I wanted to confirm that it was that big of a delta and so similar. And also, there's always going to be the naysayers to say, well, maybe they wired things out of phase in their box. Because I'd asked them, you know, what box were you using? Because I could use a box like that myself, but they made it themselves. It's not a third party. So, you know, obviously, if you make it yourself, you can do whatever you want inside, and there's going to be naysayers. So I wanted to be the voice for the naysayers because I had my own questions. I told them flat out, you know, did you wire it out of phase inside? Because that's what it sounds like. Being 100% totally transparent, totally honest, what I thought they did, okay? But outside of opening up the box, which I wasn't going to do that, I asked them if I could do my own track. I did pink noise. I was able to hold the controller myself, change it in and out. I talked to the guys, and they were giving me assurances. You know, it didn't look like any shady guys. So it was basically, that's the level that I wanted to go to, you know, confirm that the AB demo was on the up and up. And like I said, they let me do anything I wanted to do. Kudos to them. And the delta was the same the second time I went in as the first. It's very dramatic. So I was very impressed. And certainly if you have those speakers, at a minimum, I can conclude you should get those footers for sure. I mean, that delta was huge. And that wasn't even a suspended second floor. Obviously, it was on the third floor of the hotel, but that floor was pretty firm. I've been in a lot worse rooms where a suspended second floor could benefit from isolation. You know, assuming everything was done on the up and up, which is what I tried to confirm with this video, you'll see, you will see that that is a huge difference. And this is also going to tie into something I did in a prior video about pink noise being a great test track. Because sometimes, even if something's out of phase, when you're playing certain parts of the music, it may not be as noticeable. Even Pete was saying he wasn't noticing sometimes when it was clicking the difference. But when you're playing pink noise, that ball is always playing all the frequencies randomly. And so when you cannot mistake it. So what I want you to do to prove it to yourself, I want you, if you can find on Qobuz, Tidal, whatever, even YouTube, in phase versus out of phase pink noise, just play that track where there are going to be test tracks where it'll just go in phase, out of phase, in phase, out of phase, and listen on your phone. Don't even worry about fancy headphones. This is a case where I'm telling you not to use fancy headphones. On your phone, you will be able to hear your phone speakers. You will be able to hear what in phase and out of phase sounds like, even with my demo here with IsoAcoustics. And what I'm going to show for you is why I thought it sounded out of phase, because if you play a test track of in phase versus out of phase pink noise from YouTube, wherever, streaming, and then you listen to my track that I'm giving you right now when they do it, and I'm clicking the button, and you can see with the green light when it's on and off, it sounds the same, you know? So that's what had me suspicious of in phase versus out of phase. But assuming, again, after all my due diligence is what I could do there, that is a huge delta. If you are basically making a difference audible on a cell phone recording that is on pink noise is that drastic, that means that is doing a tremendous amount of delta for just footers. And so at a minimum, I can recommend those footers for those speakers. Your mileage may vary with different speakers, but this is something you should try on your own. But I do want to appease the naysayers and my own curiosity of what it sounded like and making sure it wasn't some kind of internal wiring thing. So you're going to hear me confront them with that potential and how they respond, and you can make your decisions on that. But I give them thumbs up on trying to do a very convincing A/B demo, and definitely this was the biggest A/B demo delta I've ever heard at a show. So props to them. Enjoy this video. Plenty more to come. All right, guys. I had to come back and do this demo again because I'm just still stumped at the delta between the two. And it sounds like, well, I'm going to keep, I just want to, so you have a remote control for a device that's the switch for the speakers, right?
Exactly. So it's just, you know, a regular remote control from a garage door, actually.
Oh, is it? Okay.
And you know, we homemade a switcher.
Okay.
Actually, and what we did actually, we were very cautious selecting the right parts to make sure that you know there's no real sound changes
internally
in the box per se. No
well, you should
colors.
make that box because I'd like to have a switcher like that can do that. Yeah, I mean, especially people that have home theater set up, sometimes they have a totally different amp set up
Yep.
to their speakers versus for their home 2-channel. This would allow them to switch, you know. But anyway, so this was all homemade, that switch.
Yep.
Okay. And am I able to choose any track to do the comparison on?
Yeah. You can.
But let's start first. I just want to confirm what I'm hearing here because it sounds a lot like something. Because I've owned IsoAcoustics, I like them. I just never heard this delta. When it's green, it's on, and when it's not. Okay, so just in case you didn't watch my other video, they staggered the ones with the IsoAcoustic footers on the inside on the right side and on the outside here. So the distance should be the same because then the ones on just cones are interior here and exterior there. So the image shift should be the same. And any differences between left and right boundaries could obviously be part of the factor, but see, the image immediately goes to the speakers when I go to the cones, which is identical to if the speakers are out of phase, that same sound occurs. Can we bring up a track?
Yeah, of course.
Well, it's not really a track. I just want to play Pink Noise if we could.
No, I don't have any pink noise. I have, you know, Kobo's, you know, music service.
Yeah, they have a test tone if you just type Pink Noise.
Okay, let's have a look. Can't find anything.
Kobas or title?
Kobo's, not title.
Yeah,
Because the title is not working properly.
Okay. Well, that would be interesting.
Morning. Good morning.
Okay.
Turn the volume up just a little bit.
Yep. I lower it down just to make sure not to.
Okay. The reason I like to do pink noise is because pink noise is a magnifying glass on the entire frequency, because it's basically playing everything. Left, right, the same. But when I switch one to the other, it almost sounds identical to if you're switching a speaker in phase versus out of phase. So, I mean, I'm sure it's connected in phase left and right.
No, everything is on phase. We double checked it.
You double checked it internally too?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Of course. But the thing is, also, it's when you're playing music, you have the sense of the sound stage.
Yes.
You know, you can focus on where is the bass, where's the drum, where's the piano. When it's pink noise, it's just a flat, no message. I mean, it's just the pure information that you're sending to the speaker.
Yeah, it should be a ball of sound in the middle.
Sorry?
It should be just a ball of sound in the middle, you know, with all the frequencies.
Yep.
And so, yeah, when it goes back to the speakers, when you flip out of phase, it'll become more diffuse and go to the speakers, which is what the music itself was sounding like. So it was a good test to me to see what pink noise sound like. But that's pretty dramatic, the test.
Yeah, I mean, the difference between the two.
Assuming everything's in phase everywhere,
yeah.
then that's extremely dramatic. You know, if something's wired out of phase, then that would explain the difference. But yeah, I wanted to make sure to confirm with you guys. You checked all that. That's great. It's very obvious. You know, you can play anything else.
Very good.
All right, so yeah, that's pretty dramatic. So PS Audio should be selling these with their speakers.
Actually, we do have a partnership with different companies.
You did, like Focal.
For example, Sonus Faber. We have actually a piece.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah.
You saw probably the bass, and that's the bass for the Suprema
Okay.
speaker. And we have
Yeah.
a partnership with Dyne Audio. We have partnership with PSB and some others, and we're working on that too. To have more people to join in.
I mean, yeah, again, assuming everything's in phase, you should definitely buy this if you have these speakers.
Yeah.
I mean, and this is not even a poor floor. You know, like a trampoline suspended floor.
Yeah.
You probably even have greater difference, but that is pretty shocking. That's why it's too shocking to me, to be honest with you. That's why I was like, had to come back.
Because you're a little suspicious about
Yes.
or anything maybe not on
Out of,
purpose, but
I'll be honest with you. It sounds like something's wired out of phase when you flip. Yeah, but I don't want to accuse. I want to double check. I want
what that
to.
shows you is that you're getting rid of an additive distortion that was there before
Uh-huh.
that wasn't in the original captured musical event. So by taking those vibrations out of the scenario,
Right.
you're taking a distortion that you normally hear, even with something that's pinned down to the floor with spikes.
Gotcha.
And you're getting rid of it. So you're freeing the music from its cabinet.
Well, it goes to show that vibration control is
I
important.
could hear it back here. The image field went up in height, which, you know, for me, anytime you can localize sound to the box, game over. You're never going
Right.
to trick me into thinking you're in front of a white.
No, that's exactly right. Spatial cues are very important. And people have ranked what's most important to them, spatial cues, even above distortion, frequency response, and other things, which is why, you know, I promote certain products. But yeah, this Yes, assuming everything's right, legit. I got to give you guys props for doing a legit demo. You staggered them,
Yeah.
you know, and then you allow people to do this.
Single variable substitution.
And actually, you know, we were very, very cautious to make sure that the switcher
Yes.
doesn't have any coloration. You know.
No, that's right, yeah.
So the cable inside, same brain. You know.
Right.
The relay that is used, actually, we check different brand of relay and we choose one that was neutral. You know, not
Okay.
adding, not subtracting any information.
Well, that's good. Yeah, well, great job. Appreciate that. And thank you for letting me to do that extra
Yeah.
test. There's always going to be naysayers out there that probably think even more skeptical, but I like to be their voice, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, I can't examine under the hood, but yeah, I trust you guys. So yeah, great job. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you.